Each day, the world spins one more turn. The sun still rises, people still work, and news bulletins pass by as if nothing has changed. But there are days when everything is no longer the same. One day, just one moment, can make all of humanity veer in a different direction. October 1st is one such day. It has witnessed the birth of a colossal nation, a continent raising its voice for independence, a day when fairy tales stepped into reality under the name Disney World, and also a day when bullets plunged America's brightest city into panic. 4 moments, 4 pieces of a puzzle, in different years and different places, but all falling on the same day. Perhaps history does not repeat itself, but it has a rhythm of its own. And today, as we live through October 1st, 2025, let us look back. Why, for over half a century, this day has always been a crossroads of beginnings and endings. October 1st, 2025. A day that seems ordinary but begins with the halting of an enormous machine. In Washington, D.C., the United States officially shuts down. The government temporarily ceases operations because Congress fails to reach a budget agreement. Federal agencies close. Hundreds of thousands of public servants are furloughed without pay. The world's largest economy suddenly stands still due to a bargaining game among those in power. At the same time, in Tokyo, people line up at evacuation centers. A Category 12 storm, the strongest in a decade, is heading straight for Okinawa. Satellite images show massive white clouds swirling, a beauty that sends chills. In Geneva, the United Nations holds an emergency meeting on artificial intelligence. Some of the world's leading tech conglomerates are accused of stealing humanity's data, as their deep learning systems autonomously collect, recreate, and manipulate content in ways no one fully understands. Humans are debating the ethics of artificial intelligence, while AI has already begun drafting resolutions for itself. Meanwhile, in Europe, the energy crisis returns. Gas prices soar, financial markets wobble. Winter is yet to arrive, but fear already blankets the old continent. On the same day, across different time zones, the world keeps spinning but not to the same rhythm. In one place, humans grapple with politics. In another, they face nature. Elsewhere, they debate the future of humanity itself. A single day, but a mirror reflecting an entire century. Power, technology, nature, and fear, all appearing in a single frame of time. And perhaps, just like today, October 1st, in history has carried moments the world cannot forget. On October 1st, 1949, at Tiananmen Square, Mao Zedong declared the founding of the People's Republic of China. One sentence, one shout, and the world changed color. Half of humanity stepped into a new era, where the balance of power between Asia and Europe began to shift. It was not just the birth of a nation, but the genesis of a new order. 11 years later, on this same day in 1960, the drums of independence sounded in Lagos, Nigeria. After nearly a century under British colonial rule, Nigeria declared freedom. A new flag flew, and people poured into the streets in tears. It was the day Africa raised its voice, sparking a wave of liberation across the dark continent. Then, in 1971, across the Pacific, another world opened. Walt Disney World opened in Florida, not just a theme park, but a symbol of the American dream. A day when fairy tales stepped into reality, where imagination became a global industry. And then, 46 years later, also on October 1st, the world witnessed a night when music turned into hell. Las Vegas, 2017. The Route 91 Harvest Festival concert was alive with energy. Tens of thousands stood shoulder to shoulder under neon lights. But minutes later, gunshots rang out. Initially, 58 people were confirmed dead and over 500 injured, but later reports updated the toll to 60 deaths and approximately 867 injuries, the bloodiest mass shooting in modern American history. Thus, whenever October 1st is mentioned, people recall not only symbols of power, but also moments when humanity saw its own darkness. And today, in 2025, as the world grapples with crises, storms, and artificial intelligence, the story of Las Vegas that year is not just a tragic news report. It is a reminder that sometimes tragedy does not come from hatred, but from our silence in the face of the smallest signs. Let us return to the night of October 1st, 2017, the night when Las Vegas's brightest lights turned into streaks of death. On October 1st, 2017, Las Vegas, the city dubbed the paradise that never sleeps, shone as it did every night. Under the dazzling lights of casinos and ceaseless performances, 22,000 people gathered at the Route 91 Harvest Festival across from the Mandalay Bay Hotel. Country music filled the air, laughter, cheers. No one knew that minutes later, those sounds would turn into screams of terror in modern American history. When the clock struck 10:05 p.m., a series of sharp cracks rang out. At first, people thought it was fireworks. But as hundreds fell, blood pooling on the ground, they realized someone was shooting from above. The gunman, Stephen Paddock, 64 years old, no criminal record, no overt political extremism, no clear motive. He had rented 2 rooms on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, prepared for days. Bringing 23 automatic rifles, thousands of rounds of ammunition, and positioned himself for maximum range over the crowd. In 10 minutes, he fired over 1,000 rounds, taking 58 lives. Later, a few more died from prolonged injuries, raising the total to 60, and injuring over 850. It was the deadliest mass shooting in modern American history. Las Vegas's dazzling night was now flooded with the red and blue flashes of ambulances. In videos recorded by bystanders, gunshots mingled with unfinished music, a warped symphony of tragedy. Mothers shielded their children on the ground. Men pulled strangers to safety. A nurse recounted, "I could only use my hands to cover one person's wound, while another bled out beside me." It took police nearly an hour to break into the room. When they entered, Paddock had taken his own life. No one understood why. No letter, no manifesto, no explanation. An FBI expert said, "The scariest thing isn't what he did, but that no one knows why he did it." The Las Vegas event shocked the world. Within hours, every news outlet, every newspaper ran the same question. Why could an ordinary person become a nightmare for thousands of others? The answer, even now, remains incomplete. The FBI concluded that Paddock acted alone, with no organization, no severe mental illness. He had money, a home, a girlfriend, and gambled like many in Vegas. The only difference was in his mind. There was a darkness no one saw, and it erupted on that October 1st night. But amidst the tragedy, there was still the light of humanity. A man named Jonathan Smith, 30 years old, saved 30 people despite being shot in the neck. He said when he woke up in the hospital, "I just did what anyone should do." A veteran, fresh from the Iraq battlefield, used his combat experience to guide the crowd to safety. A young woman used her belt to tourniquet a stranger's wound. In that dark night, hundreds of small stories wove a quiet, heroic saga where people chose to save each other, even as chaos swallowed everything. After the event, Las Vegas holds a memorial every October 1st, not only to remember those lost, but to remind. In a society full of convenience and freedom, sometimes silence in the face of violence is the most dangerous thing. Because Paddock was not a terrorist, not a madman, but an ordinary person. And that is what forced America to confront its deepest fear, that tragedy does not always come from those who are different, but sometimes from those who seem most like us. Eight years have passed since the night of October 1st, 2017. Las Vegas still shines every night, bustling as if no crack remains in its memory. But if you listen closely, you can feel a thin layer of silence over the city, the kind of silence that follows a tragedy. Since the massacre, America no longer looks at music festivals or outdoor concerts with the same carefree eyes. Security fences have multiplied, metal detectors are everywhere. In people's hearts, a quiet vigilance has become a reflex. Collective nightmares, invisible scars. They don't vanish, they merely sleep. But beneath that vigilance, some things have changed for the better. America, a country deeply divided over guns, began talking more. Not to agree, but to understand. Workshops, bills, and forums by victims' families were held not to blame, but to ask bigger questions. Are we living in a society safe enough for our own psyche? After Las Vegas, many American cities began to change their approach. Mental health screening programs, once overlooked, were expanded in schools and communities. Community support organizations and crisis counseling centers received greater investment. People began to realize what made Paddock pull the trigger was not just guns, but an emptiness ignored for too long. Perhaps that is the real lesson of that night. We often fear what is caused by others: terrorism, war, disease. But the greatest threat sometimes lies within the human mind itself. When people are isolated, when they have no one to talk to, when the world measures their worth only by money, status, or attention. Many sociologists later called Las Vegas the tragedy of the age of illusion. A world overflowing with light, where people can buy everything except peace of mind. And when emotions are suppressed long enough, they can erupt into violence, like a fire blazing in a locked room. Someone once said, "No one is born a monster," but a society indifferent for long enough can create them. That heavy statement rings true for Las Vegas. Paddock was not forged in darkness. He was nurtured under neon lights, in a world where everything dazzles, except the human heart. But strangely, it is in tragedy that people find each other. Strangers in that night held hands, saved each other, shielded one another. They didn't ask for names, nationalities, or religions. In that moment, there was only human and human. After the event, a small movement spread in America. People wrote #BeKind21 on their hands. Be kind for 21 days. It sounds simple, but it was their way of reminding each other that kindness must be practiced as a habit, not just a fleeting emotion. From a societal perspective, Las Vegas was a turning point that made many nations reflect on themselves. In Europe, Canada, Australia, mental health first aid programs were introduced in schools. People understood that to prevent violence, it takes not just police or laws, but daily empathy. Because sometimes a single message checking in, a conversation, can save someone from the brink of despair. Just like a small light, if enough are lit, can overcome the darkness. October 1st. For over 7 decades, it has witnessed every facet of humanity. A day when power was born, freedom was reclaimed, dreams were shaped. From Las Vegas in 2017 to today, the world has changed. But the fragility of humanity, between music, laughter, and a stray bullet, has never faded. Technology makes us connect faster, but not necessarily understand each other better. Freedom grows, but safety shrinks. The history of October 1st reminds us, every advance only matters when paired with humanity. So, instead of seeing history as just a series of events, perhaps it's time to ask, tomorrow, if someone writes about today, what do we want them to remember? October 1st, a slice of countless days of humanity, where power, freedom, dreams, and fear coexist. And perhaps what sets humanity apart from history is that we know to pause, to learn to live better after each cycle. Today is October 1st of this world.